Hi guys, welcome to our first video. But before we get started, make sure to like, subscribe and hit the bell notification. You don't want to miss any future videos. So there's only one place to start, the Champions League. Before that, let's introduce you to my three guests today. First we have Sam, welcome, Taz and Eliott. So there's only one place to actually get started, the Manchester United versus PSG game. But the key thing is, Neymar is out. So Taz, PSG, no Neymar. How do you think that they will actually do?
Well, this season, Thomas Tuchel, the manager, has based his game around Neymar. Every attack will be giving him the ball, letting him create something for Cavani, Mbappe, Di Maria. So everything they've done going forward is down for him. Now that he's injured, it can be a lot difficult to get that creative spark this season, especially in this game, because he's now ruled out until 2-3 months. So yeah, so without their star man in one of the biggest games of the season, I think it's going to be a bit difficult for them. But I think they've got enough quality on the pitch to get over that. But the main concern is in the midfield for PSG, where there's no creative spark in whatsoever or defensive. So a lot of the onus is now on Mbappe or Cavani to try and get PSG through. So yeah, but once you get a player who costs 222 million, who's ruled out of the game, it's going to be a lot difficult to then provide assists, get goals, and be that creative spark that PSG will need, especially at Old Trafford.
Do you think it's finally time for Mbappe to show that he's not just a 20-year-old kid, he is actually ready for the big stage?
The thing is, in previous seasons, even for Monaco, PSG stepped up. So I'm sure you can remember his goals for Monaco against Man City, Dortmund and Juventus. So you've got past experience of scoring in the Champions League. But I think there's a lot of pressure on him because he's probably the most, aside from Neymar, the most creative, probably the best for going forward. So I think he can step up, but this season has shown little evidence that he can. For when Neymar hasn't been involved, and Mbappe hasn't really stepped up to the mark. In my eyes, it's mainly been Di Maria who's stepped up and then provided PSG with so many options, and he's helped them a lot throughout the way.
Okay. So moving on to the Manchester United side of this now. Obviously, if Mourinho was still in charge, people would have been writing United off already. But now that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's taken over, how has that really impacted them?
Well, it's had a monumentous impact on something that we didn't actually expect. When you look at the league form, they've won 7 out of the 8 past league games since Solskjaer has come in, and with only been a draw to Burnley. And by doing so, they've won the most points. So while people like Paul Ince say, well, I could have done the job that Solskjaer has done, when you look at the player relationship between the manager and players, especially with someone like Pogba, who was just was weekly criticised for his performances, and now he's like the direct emphasis on the team. Like for example, 55% of the goals have came through Pogba since Solskjaer's came through. So the emphasis has really focused on him, and he will be a key cog in the game against PSG. And somehow with their defence and with PSG's defensive midfielders, they'll need to find a way to limit Pogba's influence on United.
So Taz, as a PSG fan, what exactly do PSG need to do to ensure that they actually go through this time?
Well, for the first time in many years, even when the Laurent Blanc and Unai Emery was in charge, they've had an onus of playing 4-3-3 every single game. That was their plan A. The plan B, they didn't really have one. So for the first time in many years, Thomas Tuchel has been able to adapt the system, change it throughout the game, change it before the game. So even whichever system that they're going to choose, the players are comfortable in playing in that position and in that system. So for the first time in years, they've got a flexibility of doing a plan A, B and C. So I think that's, especially in the Champions League, that's going to help them go a long way. So yeah, if they get that right, even without Neymar, I think they can have, because the first game's in Old Trafford, I think they'll do quite well. Considering their away form of late, it's not been great, even in Liga. Draws to Strasbourg and Bordeaux, whilst losing at Lyon. So I think of late their away form hasn't been great. And also in the Champions League, they lost to Liverpool away, and Napoli they drew. So I think first leg at Old Trafford is they may not win the game, but be in the contest by scoring an away goal or two. I think that's what the aim will be for PSG, and not trying to lose the game. But when the draw came out, many saw that when Jose Mourinho was in charge, many PSG fans saw this as Yeah, it's quite easy, but many of them saw that as hard because the way he sets out his team. PSG are known for not playing well against a team that parks the bus. So I think now that they're playing a more expansive style of football with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, that's going to create more spaces for PSG to exploit, especially with Man U's defence and PSG's attack. So I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being in charge is possibly turned out to be a better thing for PSG, in my opinion.
Okay, that's quite interesting. So you feel like PSG can actually do it?
Yeah, I think over the 2 legs, I think they have enough quality to go through. The only thing, as I said before, is the midfield. There's question marks on whether Verratti and Paredes will be fit enough to play the game, and also Adrien Rabiot. That's still a complicated situation. Will he be brought in to? Now that he's not been sold, will he be brought in back to the team, especially for a big Champions League game? So the options are there for a decent midfield, in my opinion: Verratti, Paredes, and Rabiot. So that could potentially be the midfield that goes to Old Trafford. But yeah, so I think the game will be won in the midfield, especially if Man U's strong midfield, Pogba, Matic. So I think that's where the game will be won, I think.
Sam, what do United need to do? I'm sure there is a little chance for United to
I think
actually
they need a miracle. They need a miracle because the way they've been playing at the minute, they've been scraping wins. They haven't been playing that well. I think PSG just have too much firepower, even without Neymar. Mbappe and Cavani just been unreal at the minute, and their defence with Shaw, Lindelof, Bailly, it's not up to the scratches of Mbappe and Cavani. So Man United, they need to get down the wings. They need Martial, they need Rashford, they need Sanchez, all on their top game. And if they don't do that, I can only see a PSG win.
Do you not feel like since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's come in that United have actually started recovering? They've
recovered.
Well.
They've been playing well. They've been playing well, but not to the performances of the old Man United. They got lucky against Tottenham. They didn't. They played awful in the second half. De Gea saved them. Leicester, they got lucky in the second half again on the counter attack. But against PSG, I think it'll just be a different ball game, and I think PSG will comfortably win.
Eliott, what is your opinion on this?
It's a difficult thing to call because United have obvious difficulties at the back. They've only kept five clean sheets in the league all season, but 3 have come in the last 8. So there is a recovery in that area. Solskjaer has improved their defensive capabilities. Lindelof has improved. De Gea has been on incredible form, and so there is a chance. And if they can limit the influence of Mbappe and let only Cavani feed the scraps, then they have a great chance of defeating PSG over the 2 legs.
Guys, I'm going to have to push you for a prediction. So let's start with Sam. What's your prediction for the first leg?
Yes, for the first leg, I'm going for a 2-2 draw, and then in the second leg, 3-1 PSG.
Okay. Taz?
First leg, I think United might nick it 2-1. In the return leg at the Parc de France, I think it'll be comfortable for PSG.
Eliott?
2-1 PSG, 2-1 Man United, sorry, in the first leg, and probably 2-0 PSG in the second. They'll do it over 2 legs. PSG.
Right. Well, that was the Man United versus PSG fixture. Now let's move on to the Borussia Dortmund versus Tottenham. So with Borussia Dortmund versus Tottenham, there's only one place to start. No Harry Kane for Tottenham and no Dele Alli either. So Sam, what do you feel? What do Tottenham need to do to actually go through this fixture?
They need to get Son on the ball because he's their only hope to get through. Really, the pace of Borussia Dortmund could cause real problems with their defence. Their fullbacks are dodgy. Aurier is very clumsy. He can cause problems defensively, especially with Sancho and Royce running at him. There'll be penalties galore. It could be. And Tottenham, with no Kane, no Ali, Lucas could play. He might be a doubt. They need to get them on the ball. They need to get down the wing, because even though Dortmund have a pacey defence, Son is, I'd say, is the most underrated player in the world. So
most underrated
player in the world.
Okay.
So they need Son on the ball, and he will cause problems. But that is their only hope of them getting through.
So how can Tottenham really use Son and Eriksen as well? We can't forget Eriksen. How can they use them to beat the whole of the Dortmund side?
They just need to play their football. Pochettino has a way of playing against the big teams where, especially at home, they play quite well. But with Eriksen and Son, they need to put Son up front, Eriksen more advanced. They don't need to put him in that midfield because that won't work. So Eriksen in the attacking midfield position, Son up front, let Lucas run off them, and that is that.
Eliott, do you feel like Tottenham could actually go through and actually beat the Borussia Dortmund side? Because bearing in mind, Borussia Dortmund this season have been quality. They've been dominating the Bundesliga. They've been beating the likes of Bayern Munich. Can Tottenham actually do it?
Oh, they can definitely. I've got a lot of hope for Tottenham because when you look at Dortmund's record against English teams recently, they lost Tottenham twice in Champions League last season. Once was a bit controversial with the decisions that Tottenham got. Went against Dortmund, but without Kane, there is a lot more competitiveness in terms of the quality that Tottenham will have up front. But as Sam said, Son will be the key factor between Dortmund and Tottenham. While we're looking at Dortmund, there's a lot of youth and flair going from Royce and Sancho. But I reckon Tottenham over the 2 legs will have enough to defeat Dortmund.
Right. Well, moving on to the Borussia Dortmund side. Obviously, they've got the new manager, Luciano Favre. Excuse me if I pronounced that wrong, but he's had a very good impact on this Borussia Dortmund side. Taz, how well has he really done for them?
The thing with Lucien Favre, whichever team he manages, the most important thing he does is gets them organised. When he was at Nice, it was the same thing. Now at Dortmund is get them organised and make sure everyone knows what their role is in the squad. It's fortunate they got an excellent midfielder, Witsel and Delaney. Those two who work extremely hard, who press high, and which allows to get the ball back quickly. And it also helps the fact that they got an extremely quick front three. Sancho, Royce and Guerrero. So even when the Tottenham will have the ball in their own half, they'll be the main 3 people to press the ball and earn it back as quick as they can. And which is the main thing Lucien Favre, one of his principles is discipline, organisation and pressing the ball high up the field and trying to win it back as early as possible. And it's shown so far in the league, they're top of the league, and also in the Champions League, which they've done quite well to win the group. So especially with Atletico Madrid in the group. So yeah, it's a huge part of down to Favre, but also the players as well, and the recruitment side as well. So it's going to be tough for Tottenham.
How will the likes of Marco Reus and Jadon Sancho threaten the Tottenham defence?
As you know, they're 2 players who've got extremely quick, a lot of flair. Jadon Sancho just burst onto the scene just recently. So at this moment of time, not many defenders have been able to handle what he does. He's quite unpredictable, has a lot of skill, and even for Tottenham's defence, as Sam touched on, is very shaky. So it's going to be extremely hard for them to stop Sancho in particular. But Royce is just a different class, in my opinion. Everything goes through Royce, and if he's influential on the night, then that's where Tottenham are going to struggle, and Dortmund could potentially go through.
I'm going to have to push you for another prediction here, or just for the first leg. What do you think the score will be?
I think Tottenham will edge it 1-0.
Sam?
1-0.
Eliott?
I'm also going to go for 1-1.
We're going to have to come back and see who's actually right. So moving on to the Europa League fixtures, we've got Chelsea versus Malmo. So Sam, as a Chelsea fan, can you see a Malmo upset here, or is it just Chelsea will win?
It's Chelsea all the way. They'll win away and they'll win home, and that's not being biased. They got through quite an easy group, Malmo. And Chelsea won 5 of their 6 games. Chelsea will want to win because top 4 is in doubt with the rival Man United under Solskjaer. So Chelsea will need to win. And I think they will do comfortably. It could be about 4 or 5 over the aggregate scoreline.
How important is it for Sarri to actually win the Europa League for himself? Because he's obviously not won any trophies yet.
Exactly, it's huge because of the top 4 we might not get it, and because of Sarri himself, he needs that trophy so everyone can get off his back, that they can't say that he hasn't won a trophy. So he needs to win it, and because it's the Europa League, it's such a huge trophy. It's not like a Carabao Cup, it's not like an FA Cup where it kind of gets diminished. it's a Europa League, which is a major European trophy. So I think it will do him and Chelsea well, and it could also keep him in the job for next year.
Can you see Chelsea winning it, the whole thing?
I can see Chelsea winning it if we don't get Arsenal in the final.
And if it is an Arsenal final, you still don't see us winning it?
There's no guarantees. Emery's won 3 Europa Leagues in a row at Seville. It will be a hard game, and I won't be too confident as a Chelsea fan.
Right. Well, moving on to the next fixture, we have Arsenal versus Bate Borisov. So Taz, Unai Emery, he's won 3, as Sam says, he's won 3 Europa Leagues in a row for Sevilla. Can you see him getting another one, a fourth to his name?
Arsenal have done quite well this season in the Europa League. They finished top of the group. They've experimented with some youngsters. So I think he's put his own system into place, and the players know what to do in certain situations. So I think in the Europa League you can get away with certain errors, certain things, which is probably why Emery's probably better adapted in the Europa League than he is in the Champions League. So I think Arsenal can go all the way.
Eliott, what's your say?
I think they should focus on it solely. The league will be a tough ask, especially with their defensive injuries, with Holding and Brennan out for the season. And they already have defensive weaknesses. So if they focus solely on the Europa League, they'll have the best chance of winning it and then getting Champions League football.
So you don't think there's any chance for Arsenal to make top 4 this season?
It'll be a tough ask. Man United, if they beat PSG, then obviously that takes more load onto Man United's schedule. But with the form that United are in the league, and they have no room of slowing down, it'll be a tough ask to them to continue that energy, that same level of energy that United are showing in the league when Arsenal are playing Thursday night and then Sunday night, or Sunday afternoon.
You touched on Arsenal's defence in the league, like they will be struggling in the league to get top 4, but could you not say the same thing for Europa League? So their defence will be struggling by the likes of like Chelsea, if they face Chelsea, if they got Napoli or etc. Because there's a lot of top teams in the Europa League this season.
There are, but as Taz said, Emery is very adapted to the Europa League, League's quality, and he knows how to get it done, especially with Lacazette and Aubameyang up top. And then if he decides to finally bring Ozil back into the mix, they have plenty of quality going forward, and they will be one of the favourites to win it for me.
Guys, I'm not going to ask you who's going to win Arsenal or Bate Borisov, because I know there's only clear one winner, but I'm going to push you for a prediction for your overall Europa League winner. So starting off with Sam, who do you think will win the Europa League?
I think Arsenal will win it, and then we'll get his 4th Europa League.
Okay, Taz?
It's possible that an English team will win it, but I think it's out of Chelsea or Napoli in my opinion.
Okay.
I reckon it'll probably be, if they don't meet in beforehand, I reckon it'll be Napoli, Arsenal, and then 2 of the favourites for me.
Right. Lads, can we just imagine this for 1 second? A Chelsea versus Arsenal Europa League final, and both Chelsea and Arsenal don't make top 4. Imagine the scenes for that. So none of the teams have made top 4 and they're in the Europa League final. The whole next season depends on just that one game. Who would we push up for that game? Who do you think has the right mentality to actually push through and get the win for them? Starting off with Eliott, who would you say? Imagine if this was just to happen.
I personally think Arsenal, just purely because of Emery. He will be able to bring over his experience and a persona and his enthusiasm for the competition. While Chelsea do have sort of solidified winners in their team, their weaknesses may just be a bit too much, with the likes of Aubameyang and Lacazette, and then potentially Ozil going forward.
But do you think Hazard and Higuain isn't enough for Chelsea to push through, especially with Chelsea do not have a good defence by all means, but they have got a better defence than Arsenal. So do you feel like Hazard, Higuain at the top, with David Luiz, Rudiger at the back, Kante of course, Jorginho, do you feel like they could not push for that?
Oh, they could, but It depends if Sarri changes the system, because Kante right now because of his role, he isn't the same player as he would be when he was at Leicester and when he was under Conte. So then his influence has almost diminished with Sarri's system. And then looking at Hazard especially, potentially debatably a world class player, but Higuain, when you look at his goal scoring record so far this season, it's not been his usual high scoring season, and depending on how he kickstarts from now and the Europa League final, if they do get there, that'll be a huge influence on whether Chelsea become the favourites or not.
Well, I respectfully completely disagree with what you said about Kante, but that's a whole nother video, so make sure you should stay tuned for that. Taz, Chelsea Arsenal final, who would you push for the win?
I think it all boils down to experience, in my opinion. Chelsea are used to playing in finals, whether it's European, domestically, so I think they got the experience. If they do get to a final, it'll be theirs to lose, in my opinion, because they're much accustomed to it. They know how to win. They know everything about. Yes, Sarri doesn't reach many finals, as we all know, but and on the other hand, Emery does. But I think in terms of squads right now, Chelsea is a lot better. They have experience of winning titles, and so I think if it does go down to an Arsenal-Chelsea final, I'll have to go for Chelsea.
That's why I've always liked you, Taz. Sam, you've already said Arsenal are going to win the whole thing, but can I push you again to say Chelsea, or is it are you going to stick with Arsenal?
I still think it's Arsenal. We saw at the Emirates a couple of weeks ago how they outclassed Chelsea. Even though Chelsea played poor defensively, I still think Arsenal will be on top. It's a one-off game, it's a cup game, and Emery, he lives for them cup final games. We saw at Seville. I can't see anything other than an Arsenal win, especially with Lacazette and Aubameyang, and like Eliott said, Ozil could be coming back. I can't see anything other than Arsenal win.
Right. Well guys, that's it for today, but make sure you tune in next time for another top quality video. Thank you very much.